So you've decided you want your first project manager job and you're trying to figure out how do you break in. It's a bit of a catch-22. Every job description you see says you have to have experience. But how can you get experience if you can't get a job? So in this video, we're going to talk about 2 ways that you can break into the project management industry. Stay tuned and I will give you the advice that I've been giving people for a little over 10 years now to help them land their first project management job. Okay, in our last video, we talked a little bit about classes and degrees and what you should be looking for when you're just getting started out in your career. To continue with our theme for this month, which is getting your first project management job, we're going to talk today about how do you break in if you don't have any experience. I'm going to share with you my story about how I got started because I feel like it might be helpful for you to hear how I made a career change and got into this so many years ago. But before we do that, a little announcement. At the end of the last video, I told all of you that I was opening up the doors to a pilot for a new class that I'm putting together. Over the last 15 years, I've been training project managers, and there's some very simple, basic things that I noticed that project managers struggle with as they are first getting started out. In fact, I find that even experienced project managers are struggling with some of the basics. So I'm putting together, I used to give a classroom training for project managers. It was often a 3-day course. Sometimes I would compress it down. We'd go through everything from how to assemble the team, how to establish yourself as a leader, how to get the project scope fully fleshed out with a work breakdown structure, how to put together a full network diagram so that you actually have an awesome analysis tool to help you manage your project as you go forward. How to get everything into Microsoft Project, how to resource level, how to make sure that you're getting the right updates from people, how to have killer project status meetings that aren't the same old typical boring thing. And in the end, how to become a most valuable player in your company by doing all of these things that most project managers struggle with. I gave this course for many years and it was very well received, but I always did it in person. I do love giving it in person, but the beauty of the internet is that I have an opportunity, if I can package it right, to impact more people. So I'm putting together all of my curriculum in a format that I can deliver to people online. And I have my project plan for this. I'm aiming for June 1st for it to be ready for a pilot. When it's finally released, I think I'll probably charge somewhere in the neighborhood of $250 in tuition to join. It's looking like it's going to be 17 or 18 videos with templates and a bunch of other really great stuff. But before I release it to the masses, I have to test it. So I'm going to open up on June 1st an opportunity for people to join in a pilot. If you're interested, I'm going to put a card in the upper right-hand corner that you can click on to join. You basically add your name to the wait list for the pilot. For those of you who would like to join the pilot, if you're on the list, then you can join when I finally open it up for only $5. It's a token amount. Actually, I'm just trying to test all the systems on the back end for financials, but I'm also trying to weed out people who are just not even going to take it seriously. I actually want people to take the course, tell me what they think, give me feedback, even give me a little testimonial if it really made a big difference for them. And I know that it will, because it has. It's made a huge difference for a lot of people. So if you're interested in the pilot and you want to join for only $5 and you're serious about going through the material, giving me feedback, please click the card in the upper right-hand corner. Get your name on that list. I'm going to shut down the list on May the 18th. So if you're not on by that time, then you're no longer eligible to join the pilot group. So get out there right away as soon as you're done with this video and join that list if you're interested. Okay, so let's talk about how do you break into a project management career. I think there's 2 ways, really, to get in. In both scenarios, you're going to have to do something you might not want to do, and that is to take a step down, to take a step up. A lot of people will be in a career, whether it be technology or marketing or what have you. And they'll think to themselves, you know what, I want to make a change. I want to change over to project manager. And they may be making a certain amount of salary because they've been doing that job for a certain period of time. But when you're now going to do something new, you're going to try and build a project management career. And so given the fact that you don't have a lot of experience, you have to expect that you're going to need to start in some entry-level positions. There are two ways that I see that you can do this, and both of them have their own unique pluses and minuses to them. The first way is to find a very small company and to join that company as a junior project manager or as their project manager. I'm talking companies around 20, 30, 40 people. You know, they may have within their organization people who wear many different hats because they're small, but usually they're small but mighty, and they're filled with really awesome people who are really trying to make a difference and who are building something cool and exciting. And so those environments come with a lot of really an interesting dynamic, and you actually can get a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. You also get exposure to everyone within the company. So it's not like the larger companies where you may never get to interact with some of the more senior people. Chances are you're in a company that's 40 or 30 people strong, you're going to be interacting directly with the president and the CEO on quite a regular basis. A second way that you can get your start in a project management career is to look at larger companies. And I'm talking companies with tens of thousands of people, companies in the finance industry, insurance companies, companies that have large project management offices or PMOs. Those companies will have many different job positions in the project management field, and they'll have a lot of what I call entry-level positions for the entry-level job position is either called a project administrator, project analyst, project control officer, and there's a few other names that these organizations give this entry-level position. Position typically pays in North America, if you're in a major metropolitan area, somewhere between $40,000 to $60,000. You can find these positions on offer for a little less and a little more than that, but generally between $40,000 and $60,000. If that's something that you can handle, if you can handle moving into a job that pays at that rate, then you can make the transition really quite easily. So before we talk about the pros and cons of way A, which is to find a small company and join that company as a project manager, and way B, which is to find a large company and get in as an entry-level PA, let's talk about, I want to tell you a little bit about how I got started. My career took a very long and windy path. I already told you a little bit about my education, and right after that, I did a lot of the jobs you might expect a person to do when they first leave university. I was a security guard. I worked at retail. I worked at Radio Shack for a number of years. I worked at fast food places, pet stores. Often I would do 2 and 3 jobs at once because they were all part-time gigs. I did a lot of work, and then I started to get into sales. And I found a job one day where there was a small computer company. There was a computer reseller. They were looking for a salesperson. And I said, well, I probably can sell something. Let me give it a try. As it turns out, I was actually pretty good at sales, which was very strange because I started out as a very shy and shy individual who didn't like to talk and didn't like to do public speaking. But you know what? I broke out of my shell. I figured I need to do this. I need to find something that will make more money than the average minimum wage job. So I started selling, and it started working very well for me. And then I got into computer distribution. I worked for Maricel, which is a computer distributor that no longer exists, and I sold for them. And I did that for a while until around the dot-com crash. And when the dot-com crash happened, a lot of the people who were buying the computers and all the wonderful stuff, all the buy.coms and all the other stuff that doesn't exist anymore, they stopped ordering, obviously. And like hundreds, if not thousands of technology salespeople just like me were laid off or let go. And we all hit the street looking for jobs in a market that just wasn't buying. So I wondered what the hell I was going to do with myself. And I was actually making a really great living as a salesperson, but I had no idea what I was going to do. So I ended up working for a temp agency, and I was back to sort of the remedial jobs, and I was filling in for secretaries on switchboards while they were on vacation. I even worked at a honey-baked ham store in Newport Beach, handing out honey-baked ham to people on Easter. I really felt like I had crashed and burned, and I wondered what the hell I was going to do with myself. And I got a temporary job in a small company. It was about 40 people, and it was a small mortgage banking firm. And their receptionist was away on vacation, and they needed somebody to answer the telephones for a couple of weeks. And when I arrived, I knew that I wanted to make a career change. And when I arrived and I looked around, and people seemed pleasant, they seemed happy to be at work. It was a nice environment. And you know what? I was just happy to be working in a nice environment. And I decided I wanted to stay. And I looked around, and there were computers and there were servers, but there was no IT guy. Now, I had no experience in IT, but I decided right then I was going to be their IT guy. Don't know how or why I thought this was even possible, but I decided that this was what I was going to do. And I remember as people came through the door and they first saw my face, I wasn't the regular person at the front desk. They would say hi, I would say hi, and I remember one person coming by. She introduced herself, and I stuck my hand out and said, "Hey, I'm Jason Dodd. Really nice to meet you." Turned out to be the vice president of the company. And Debbie, if you're watching, I love you because you gave me an excellent start to my second career. She said she decided in that moment that she just liked me. And when that assignment ended, they brought me back to stuff envelopes. Their marketing department was putting out a campaign and they needed an envelope stuffer. And again, because I decided, I had this crazy wild idea that I was going to be their IT guy. I was going to be the best damn envelope stuffer they ever had. And then they brought me in to do data entry and a few other things, but I stuck with it, and eventually they brought me in full time. And because it was a small company, I pretty much was able to make whatever career I wanted. As it turned out, the president of the company had a friend who lived very far away, a couple of states away actually, and he came occasionally in to maintain the servers and the desktops. That individual took me under their wing, taught me everything that I needed to know to be an awesome systems and network administrator. As the company grew, because I was their IT guy, I started to hire staff and I built a team. We opened up, I think, around 12 offices across the United States. I flew out to all these different states, and we implemented the infrastructure and the VPN and all this other stuff. It was an awesome time. And during this time, I started to manage projects. Anytime the company had to do something new, and it didn't have to be IT, I would end up being the guy. I'd be the guy who would manage the projects. And so I was able to create whatever career I wanted in these small companies. All you need is the desire and the willingness to learn. So I believe wholeheartedly that if you're in the same position that I was and you want to make a career change, why not go the small company route? Get into one of these smaller organizations. Sometimes they're scrappy and they're just trying to make a name for themselves. And if you believe in them, they'll believe in you. And you can pretty much create whatever career you want in a company like that. But you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. I went from making a six-figure salary as a salesperson to answering phones at the front desk. But I made something out of that situation, right? You know what they say, life gives you lemons. And you can do the same thing too. There are a lot of smaller companies out there that are trying to build up their teams. They can't afford to hire the high-powered six-figure project manager to help them open offices or build their next piece of software. And you might just be the right person for them. So go looking for those organizations and try to get in. And an easier way, another really good way to get into those small companies is through temp agencies. And don't just look for project management jobs. Explain to your recruiter at the temp agency, I'm actually looking for a company that I can make myself important to. It's not about the actual job. So help me find the right company to get myself into. And they can, right? Nobody ever thinks about that. They never think to tell their recruiter, actually, I want you to find me the right organization. as opposed to, no, I need you to find me this specific job. So think of that as an option. It's the option that I took, and it worked very well for me. Got me a lot of varied and different experience that I was able to bring forward, and then I was able to create the career that I have today. The cool thing about going option B and getting into a large organization is that you get to learn from a lot of really experienced people. So when you go route A, you're kind of winging it. You're learning as you go. You're building the airplane as you fly, and it can be very stressful. And you may spend a lot of time while you're doing that thinking, oh my God, I feel like an imposter. They're going to figure out I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And, if that doesn't sound like fun to you, then maybe option B, which is going into the larger organization, is the better choice. Because if you get into a large PMO in one of these entry-level positions as a PA or a PCO, you get to then work side by side with not one, but many different project managers and PAs. You get to interact with many different executives on various different projects, and you get really great experience and a lot of really great exposure. I really wish that I had the ability to work alongside other senior project managers earlier in my career. If I could have done that, oh my goodness, the mistakes that I could have avoided, it would have been awesome. So I see a lot of people starting those entry-level roles, and they build awesome careers because they see it for what it is, an opportunity to work with lots of different people. They take from those people the things they like, they leave the things that they don't, and they build their own set of tools that they bring with them into their career. So it is an awesome opportunity. I recommend it for anyone. I've seen many people be very successful that way. So there you have it. You've got those two options. You can get into the small company and fight your way into building the career that you want, and it can be exciting, but it can also be stressful. Or you can get in an entry-level role at a larger organization and get exposed to a lot of really great people. And if you're open to learning from these people, then you can see your career take off very, very quickly. So that's my advice. If you're willing to take a step down and get and start at the bottom, so to speak, and work your way up, then you absolutely can do it. And by the way, in neither of these scenarios do you need a PMP, right? A PMP designation requires project management experience. On the small company side, you probably don't need even a CAPM, although it could be helpful. The CAPM is a bit more of a prerequisite for those entry-level positions in a larger organization, so I recommend you get one if you want to go that route. But even if you don't have it when you get hired, often PMOs, if they really like you and they think you'd be a very valuable person to have on a project team, they'll bring you in and then they'll say, well, within the next year, why don't you get it? And some of those larger corporations, they'll help fund the training for it, and they'll be very supportive for you to get the certification. So look into that, by the way. If you're interviewing with companies who are looking for entry-level PAs, just say, hey, I would like to get my CAPM. Is there anything available to me to assist me in that endeavor? And oftentimes they'll say, yeah, we got a program, don't worry about it. Right? So ask, don't forget to ask. So if you like this video, if it was useful to you, please interact with the video. Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down below. As project managers, we are notoriously bad at social media. I don't know why it is, but we don't interact with things like the video, leave comments. If you don't do that, this video will never rank and other PMs will never find it. So please, if you think it's valuable information, please leave me a comment below. I'll give you a question. Which of the two options, if you're just getting started out in your career, which of the two options are most appealing to you? Let me know. Option A, small company. Option B, large company. Which one would you like to do? If you already have a career and you've made it this far in the video, then share with the other viewers. How did you get your start in your project management career? This is a really valuable space for everybody. If we start to share, we'll be able to help each other out, which is what this video channel, what this YouTube channel is all about. So leave your comments below, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, and we'll see you in the next video.